Because education is the only way to save this country. This is our legacy.
The Gokongwei Brothers Foundation was founded 30 years ago from an endowment by my father, John Gokongwei, and his brothers. I think the GBF is a concrete manifestation of our family's values and purpose. We stand by our values of stewardship, integrity, and entrepreneurial mindset.
We thought the group can help the country to provide better education for the greatest number of students.
We would like to focus on STEM education because we do think that technology, math, and science are crucial building blocks in teaching children a framework of thinking which allows them to be critical thinkers and innovative problem solvers.
Breadwinner ako sa family. Namatay papa ko. Kaya dapat nung grade 8, mag-i-stop na ako noon. Kasi nga, hindi na rin kaya ni mama tustusan yung pangangailangan ko. Pero dahil po sa employment opportunity ng Scholar ni Juan, nagkaroon po ako agad ng trabaho.
I knew that when I was young that my heart is really for the people. When I was still working in URC, we converted our current design to a more sustainable one that helps to lessen the carbon footprint of our industrial plant.
Aside from being a student, I'm also the co-founder of the City Farm project in Taguig. Currently, City Farm is still a small organization, but I think we're able to inspire different youth organizations to join us in this movement.
We've also decided that we would focus on the teachers because we do believe that teachers have that multiplier effect and our teachers need to be supported in order for them to support their students.
My decision of becoming a teacher was influenced by my mother. Bata pa lang ako, dinadala niya ako sa different communities. This helped me develop into a teacher who wants to change lives, a teacher who wants to see my students being successful someday.
During this pandemic, so we shift to modular distance learning. I came up with this project. Nagdo-drawing po ako, for example, sa mga chemical formulas through text. Sabi ko nga, laban para sa kabataan, laban para sa bayan.
So we've seen the impact of a single scholar and how they can impact their family and their community, and imagine how much more can be achieved when an entire community can work together. Our goal is to help the country one community at a time through responsive and innovative STEM educational programs.
Ang kagandahan ng programang ito ay pinakinggan talaga ang boses ng nasa paaralan, kasama ang teacher, kasama ang pupil, kasama ang parents.
Nahirapan po ako dati dahil po hindi ko po maintindihan yung mga question po at saka po yung pag-multiply po ng mga numbers.
Ako po ay nahirapan po dati sa math dahil wala po nagtuturo sa akin.
Nung pong mabalitaan ko na meron pong One Kapatid program, kami po ay na-excite. Ako po personally na-excite. Kanina lang po, pinabasa ko po yung isa. Sabi ko, kagaling mo na magbasa, very good. Pero laki na po ng improvement ng bata.
Nanggaling na din po mismo kay Krishna. Parang akala ko noon ang hirap ng math. Pero ngayon nung ipinapaliwanag sa amin, madali lang pala.
Dahil JK Achiever na ako, natutuhan ko ng mag-multiplication and division.
As we embark on our 30th year and beyond, we are committed to focus on our STEM educators. We believe our teachers are heroes of change and the key to nurturing stronger future leaders and workforces. Our latest partnership, the Ateneo Gokongwei Brothers School of Education and Learning Design, seeks new ways of teaching and learning to inspire the next generation of Filipino scientists, technology experts, engineers, and mathematicians. That future-ready Filipino worker, that progressive community, that globally competitive Philippines. We all come together to champion education. Walang imposible. Anything is possible.
Education leaders, let's welcome the Executive Director of the Gokongwei Brothers Foundation, Ms. Grace Colette.
Good afternoon to all our DepEd leaders who are here today. This is quite daunting seeing how many are here. I am incredibly grateful to be here, sharing the same passion for uplifting our Filipino learners. This is in fact the third year that the Gokongwei Brothers Foundation has been partnering with DepEd, National Assembly for Education Leaders. We believe in this gathering's goal of further embracing the MATATAG Agenda and understanding the leadership skill that is required to see it through. Please allow me to introduce who we are. The Gokongwei Brothers Foundation is a family foundation that also serves as a philanthropic arm of the Gokongwei Group of Companies. Our founder, Mr. John, together with his brothers, established GBF with the intention of making a lasting impact on education. Through the years, we have been striving to advance STEM education, believing that this is a driving force for a sustainable national development. By equipping our learners with quality STEM education, we prepare them to be digitally adept workers and innovative problem solvers who can contribute to the growth of their communities. Just last August 17, we are happy to share that we celebrated the culmination of our 30th year anniversary. And we were very honored to be joined by some of our DepEd officials here. One of the highlights of our celebration was the presentation of our recently signed Memorandum of Agreement between DepEd and GPF. We believe that this is a very critical partnership to further strengthen our MATATAG Agenda. We opened our 30th year anniversary with the theme, Walang Imposible. And we culminated it with the theme, the message of Pathway to Possibilities. And we would like to share these pathways of possibilities to you today. Possibilities. Our potential future, a state where we can be, a state where we want to be. Yes, we know where we are. We know the challenges that currently we face in education, our learning gaps, our current standing in math and science, international assessments, our lack of resources. But more importantly, we know where together we want to be. We envision a future where every Filipino has access to quality education that enables them to have meaningful work so that they can help themselves, their family, and their community. We want to have many STEM professionals thriving and fueling innovations that lead to the growth of our industries, more jobs, and improved Filipino lives. After the leadership of the Gokongwei Brothers Foundation was passed on from Mr. John to Mr. Lance, we began reevaluating our direction and strategies. We embarked on the journey with the focus on the need to remain relevant and responsive in the face of the changing landscape of education. After consulting with DepEd and many education stakeholders, we decided on two things of how we would ultimately make a lasting impact on our Filipino learners and the Philippine education system. First, that we will continue to champion STEM education. Second, that we will put together a greater effort in our educators' professional development, one of the 4 components of the MATATAG Agenda. Armed with this clarity, we started key programs designed to create pathways to possibilities for Filipino teachers so they, in turn, can create pathway of possibilities for our Filipino learners. The first pathway is aggressively expanding our Teach STEM scholarship program. From a pilot of 18 teachers in 2018, We will have 450 teacher scholars by the end of this year. By 2025, we are aiming to have 1,000 active scholars across both undergraduate and graduate degree programs focused on science and math education. Positioned to be one of the largest STEM-focused teacher scholarships in the country, the bigger vision is to raise an army of co-advocates for STEM education. These are teachers who are not only effective in the classroom, but who will also be trailblazers in the field of education, champions of reform, and leaders in serving their community. The second pathway is supporting STEM teachers' communities, as we recognize the need and power of peer-to-peer learning and collaboration among teachers. After talking to so many of them, the key insight that drove this is teachers want to feel like they're not alone. They want to share their successes, experiences, and failures with other teachers. And they really do have so much to share. So what if we could help amplify this? What possibilities could be created? In 2022, we launched the GBF STEM Collab with the vision of teachers self-organizing and collaborating for learning. In less than a year, our membership grew to close to 25,000. This growth was fueled by activating engagement through crowdsourced topics, open space technology, teacher spotlights, gamification, and resource sharing. Essentially, we want to create a safe space for teachers to learn, have more opportunities to have a voice, and to share. We foresee this as a way where access to quality learning and co-advocacy can be expanded and sustained through the STEM teacher and for the STEM teachers. The third pathway addresses a more urgent need that was exacerbated by the pandemic. Its aim is to find a good, scalable solution for our learning gap crisis. Echoing DepEd's mantra that no one gets left behind, we launched the GBF One Kapatid program. This program uses a three-pronged framework. First is TARL, or Teaching at the Right Level, recognized by both the World Bank and USAID in their reports. Second, and equally important, are the social-emotional learnings. And third is the critical involvement of both teachers and parents. Our struggling learners are called One Kapatid Achievers as we help them journey from kaya kong sumubok, to kaya kong maging, to kaya kong magbigay. The possibilities are boundless when we are able to unlock our students' belief na kaya pala nila. Just 3 weeks ago, we kicked off with the first One Kapatid Teacher Summit, a 5-day intensive in-house training and implementation planning with our 100 teachers coming from 20 schools from Batangas and Laguna. Together with our program partners, all form part of the movement to close the literacy gap and numeracy gap among our grade 3 to 6 students. We look forward to helping 4,000 students in our adopted communities as our DepEd teachers eagerly roll out implementation plan this school year. And finally, not just a pathway, but what we hope to serve as a highway to improve STEM education. Given where we are, we felt a game changer is required to improve the caliber of STEM learning of our students. While there are many routes to take, we decided to take on the path of teachers. It has been shown that teachers have the greatest impact on student outcomes because of their multiplier effect. Each teacher we support can impact hundreds of students. We therefore set out on a quest to create our flagship program with the following question: how might we create a sustainable and scalable program for educators' development that can impact our student learning outcomes? We wanted to take a human-centered approach and develop something that truly meets the needs of our teachers and students. And so this journey brought us to partner with IDEO, a global innovation company and leading proponent of design thinking. Once again, we spoke to DepEd and over 100 education stakeholders from various sectors, including teachers, principals, students, and parents. We found it important not just to listen to what our teachers say they need, but also to understand what they do and how they feel. So we spent days immersing in the life of our teachers. Some days, our teachers would start waking up at 4 a.m. to finish lessons and paperwork. We shadowed them as they powered through 5 classes in a row with 40 to 50 students. Lunch breaks were packed with, overseeing their homeroom class, not to mention after-class programs. All of these on top of their responsibilities and errands at home. And when everything has quieted down at 9 p.m., they would pull out their laptops to start preparing for lessons the next day. Needless to say, our appreciation for our teachers grew as we got a first-hand glimpse of their life and all their sacrifices. Based on our research with teachers and education experts, we learned that they may have challenges realizing it, but many teachers need better mastery of the subjects they teach. It is hard for teachers, as we saw, to make time for learning due to being overburdened with daily responsibilities. Learning for teachers need to happen at the right moment, making it relevant to their immediate tasks at hand. And in order to make learning actionable, we needed to cover what to teach in the context of how to teach. Based on these insights, we developed concepts for a solution to support teachers. We built different prototypes, tested these with the teachers, and observed how they used it in class. We received lots of feedback and iterated our ideas many times. So you can say we co-developed the design of our program with our teachers. So today, we are happy to officially unveil the GBF Class Builder, your partner in delivering great lessons while you master your craft. The GBF Class Builder provides teacher training and coaching in 2 ways. We know that preparation is key, so first, we designed a lesson preview that helps them review the lesson topic and practice new teaching methods. When a teacher opens the GBF Class Builder, they will be led to a spot check on content recall, useful links to content review, a walkthrough on the day's lesson objective with its lesson prerequisites, and a reminder to assess their students' readiness. Our teacher is then led to bite-sized coaching moments. Here, we help teachers practice new skills and teaching methods. In our example, we use the questioning techniques to encourage critical thinking. This microdose learning approach leverages on developing a short daily habit of 20 minutes a day to grow teachers' skills over time. And to increase their appreciation for their learning journey, we show the teacher competencies that were coached in the lesson preview. Second, we use the learning through practice approach. The GBF Class Builder provides teachers with lesson materials that can be readily used in class. The materials are designed so that teachers use more student-centered teaching strategies in the classroom. The goal is to engage students actively in a way that promotes their higher order thinking skills. These materials are designed to help clarify common misconceptions and improve teachers' content mastery. Active learning is stimulated among students using playful visuals that make learning fun and exciting, not only for our students, but also for our teachers. And the best part is, these learning resources are all free, downloadable, and customizable. In both the lesson materials and lesson preview, we made sure to align with DepEd's curriculum, guidelines, and its Philippine professional standard for teachers. Through the GBF Class Builder, we envision our teachers to be more confident and effective in class, more ready to face the challenges of the future while enjoying every class, feeling proud to be a teacher. We target to roll out to up to 100 schools this school year, piloting with grade 4 math. We are hoping to scale up and implement this even more broadly in the next 5 years, looking into completing all grade levels of math and science. Ultimately, the end goal of the GBF Class Builder and every teacher who uses it is to impact the learning outcome of students with improved math and science literacy. This is the bedrock to having more STEM-equipped professionals, a more progressive Philippines, a more empowered Filipino. As our roads converge, we are excited to continue to these pathways with you and to join you in yours with the MATATAG Agenda. There is still much work to be done ahead of us with many new learnings to apply. But we can all look forward, filled with hope, that with God's help and our continued partnership, we can make these possibilities a reality for our youth. Once again, thank you for inviting GBF to be part of this special event. Please come and visit our booth at the hallway. We would be happy to share more about our programs and invite you to join our GBF STEM Collab community. In closing, we would like to share this solidarity message participated in by over 100 friends coming from Gokongwei family, employees, scholars, partners, including DepEd and other government partners. Para sa maunlad na bayan at kalidad na edukasyon para sa kabataan, posible.
Thank you very much, Ms. Grace Colette.
Tumatakbo sa isip, may paghamon di natin kaya. Umapalibot libo-libong pagdududa. Hawiin ng kurtina, pasinaga ng mga pahina. Simulang bigyang laman, gutom na puso at isipan. Dust the doubts away, just move. Posible when we rise up high every day. When it feels like there's no way, believe we have all it takes to rise up, fly unafraid. Bawat buhay may dahilan, nakatadhana'y pagbigyan. Sa oras ng dilim may aakbay, may makakasama. Umasa kang di ka tatawid na mag-isa. Tiwala sa kasama, pagkapit-bisig may pag-asa. Tumadali ang hinaharap kung sama-sama.
Thank you very much, Miss Grace Colette of the Gokongwei Brothers Foundation. This time, let's hear the Deputy Executive Director of the CI STEM of the Unilab Foundation, Mr. Melvin Magsayo.
Magandang hapon po. Good afternoon. Maayong buntag. Hello, Region 10. I am Melvin Magsayo, the Deputy Executive Director of the Center for Integrated STEM Education, an independent program of the Unilab Foundation. And in my role at the center, I have been fortunate to be exposed to a wide range of narratives that highlight the immense potential of our students and teachers in the Philippines. One story that particularly stands out is that of Hannah, a grade 1 pupil of Kulyat Elementary School, who happened to be our partner for our Wonder Kit program. Despite her young age, Hannah's enthusiasm for exploring the wonders of the world through science is truly remarkable. And witnessing her aspirations has inspired us in the center to spark curiosity and love for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Her story, along with other stories of our learners and teachers in the Philippines, have fueled our journey, have inspired the Unilab Foundation to establish the Center for Integrated STEM Education in 2019. Our mission is clear: to respond to the learning gaps in STEM education and envision a future where Filipino communities use and embrace a culture of inquiry and innovation, all for nation building, all for bayanihan. The Center for Integrated STEM Education and Unilab Foundation support the MATATAG Agenda of the Department of Education and align our vision to contribute to a future where Filipino learners are job-ready, active, and responsible citizens. This commitment is why System and Unilab Foundation is dedicated to leading a transformative shift in STEM education in the Philippines. To achieve this vision, we have developed a comprehensive 5-year STEM education agenda guided by the Create the Future framework. Cultivating inclusive spaces, reinforcing teacher capacities, encouraging collaboration partnerships, advocating for policy support, transforming curriculum and pedagogy, and empowering learners. This agenda is grounded in the evidence practices that aim to drive innovation, critical thinking, and nation building. We believe that through the Create the Future framework of the STEM education agenda, we'll be able to focus on these aspects. We can make significant contributions to the holistic development of our learners and ultimately contribute to nation building. We also recognize the importance of reinforcing teacher capacities. I'm very sure all of you here as education leaders would agree that our teachers are the backbone of our education system, and we must invest in their professional development. System is dedicated to providing comprehensive programs that upskill teachers' knowledge and pedagogical skills. Our framework strongly aligns with the goals of the Department of Education to develop 21st century skills among learners in the basic education level. We cannot do it alone. The Unilab Foundation and the Center for Integrated STEM Education, we need your support, as collaboration is the DNA of our organization. By forging meaningful partnerships with industries, the academe, research institutions, and other nonprofit organizations, we can bring real-world STEM experiences into our classrooms. As I would say, there are 7,641 islands in the Philippines, each with a unique context, each with a unique story and captivating story to tell. But there are more than 7,000 reasons to create a smarter and healthier Philippines. You are one of them. Become one of us. From the Center for Integrated STEM Education and UNILAB Foundation, I extend an invitation to each and every one of you, our dear education leaders of the Department of Education, to join us, to join System and UNILAB Foundation on this transformative journey. Together, let's collaborate to shape the future of STEM education in the Philippines. And by working together, we can inspire learners to learn STEM by doing STEM, creating a future for the Philippines, one region, one island at a time. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Mr. Melvin Magsayo of the UNILAB Foundation. This time, education leaders, a warm round of applause for our Masters of Ceremonies in this afternoon session, Director Margarita Consolacion Ballesteros and Director Tolentino Aquino.
Buenos dias a todos, SMX. Good afternoon, buenas tardes, I should say. Bon pomeriggio, good afternoon, mayong hapon sa inyong tanan. Good afternoon, RD Tony.
Yes, good afternoon, Ma'am Marge. Thank you to our sponsors and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a hearty lunch.
That was quite a feast. Don't you agree, RD?
Yes, indeed, Ma'am Marge. But I hope you and our participants are not too full. We can't afford to fall asleep now, especially since we have a few more very special guests this afternoon.
We have heard Miss Grace Colette from Gokong Way Brothers Foundation earlier, as well as Melvin Magsayo of the UNILAB Foundation, both partners, companies that are working closely with the Department of Education as we track new opportunities and we create with them new pathways of opportunities for both teachers and learners. So this afternoon, learning does not stop, Director Tony. And in our script, it is overemphasized that truly learning does not stop. I am thrilled to witness this afternoon with you all the first panel discussion for this assembly entitled Curriculum and Teaching in Focus, Responding to the MATATAG Agenda. As we explore the futures of education in the Philippines, we are privileged to be guided by our distinguished panelists, the Undersecretary and Assistant Secretary of the Curriculum and Teaching Strand of DepEd, who have dedicated their careers to fostering growth and resilience in our educational system.
Yes, during this part of the program, Director Marge, we engaged in an insightful discussion to share perspectives, to question, to learn, and to understand how we, as part of this educational ecosystem, can respond and contribute to the realization of the MATATAG Agenda. Without further ado, here is Director Ramir Uitico, who shall introduce our panelists and serve as moderator in the panel discussion.
Director Ramir.
Thank you, Director Marge and Director Tony. Good afternoon, everyone. Pwede ba bulungan niyo yung katabi niyo? Matatag ba kayo? When Director Joy Zendaya gave this task to me, I was taken aback because I'll be talking to two notable personalities of the Department of Education. So medyo kinakabahan ako. if I will no longer report to Region 6, I have a mistake in this panel discussion. So, parang this is a very challenging task. And when I thought of this, I asked colleagues, I asked friends how to do it, and they told me that it should be light, Ardiram. It should not be heavy, and you should talk about things which are just very simple. And so I started thinking of my graduate school lessons when I learned about curriculum. And when I recalled, curriculum comes from the Latin word currere, which means to run. That is currere. C-U-R-R-E-R-E, currere, means to run, and it refers to a race course or a runway or a running on, which helps one achieve one's goal. And aside from that, when we think of curriculum, it should tell us that it involves potential experiences which are set up by educational institutes. These are series of learning opportunities which are planned, both curricular and co-curricular activities. And to sum up, this is the totality of what children learn, including classroom activities in the playground and in the lunchtime through sports and the like. And that's how important our panel discussion is this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on our first guest, who is the current Undersecretary for Curriculum and Teaching of the Department of Education. She's in charge of 5 bureaus: curriculum development, learning delivery, learning resources, education assessment, and alternative education. Also under her strand is the Literacy Coordinating Council Secretariat. She holds a PhD in linguistics from the Philippine Normal University, and she was awarded an Honorary Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, by the University of New England in Australia, and earned a postdoctoral fellowship for her leadership in research from the same university. She was also granted an Australian Awards Fellowship. She was also the recipient of the 2022 Bonifacio P. Sibayan Distinguished Professorial Chair in Applied Linguistics, awarded by the Linguistic Society of the Philippines. She has spent her entire career in education. She has 28 years of experience in the field of education, starting as a basic education classroom teacher at the New Era University to becoming an associate professor, administrative official, and a researcher at the Philippine Normal University. Prior to joining DepEd, she was the director of the PNU Research Center for Teacher Quality, and she has traveled across Asia, Europe, North America, Australia for work with ministries of education, research presentation, consultancy, keynotes, and professorial discussions, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the highly notable personalities in the Department of Education, Undersecretary Gina O. Gunong.
Good afternoon, RD.
Kinakabahan pa rin ako.
Ako din kinakabahan. Kinakabahan ako kasi ikaw magtatanong sa akin.
My friend Yusek Gina told me that it should be simple, it should be lively, and we don't say or talk about big things muna. So I'll start by asking you, how does it feel to be an undersecretary?
Sabi light no? Parang yun ang pinakamahirap na tanong na na-encounter ko.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be an undersecretary? Actually, I've not thought of that. So I don't know how to answer that question. I have not felt like I'm a different person. I still do the things that I normally do, usually do. There are some privileges, there are perks. But no, I'm still the same person. So really, it's so difficult to answer the question because I have not really thought of Undersecretary Gina Gonong because it has always been Gina Gonong.
Maybe because you are not thinking of your position, but rather the work that it has in the
Yun ang
Department of
mahirap.
Education. Yeah.
Pag tinanong mo sa akin, ano ang work, what do you think about your work as Undersecretary? It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, especially so that during your time, you're implementing the MATATAG Agenda. How's that, Yusek Gina?
The work on developing the MATATAG curriculum is quite heavy, very challenging. One, because we don't have enough time. We really don't have the luxury of time in this world. We want to develop the perfect curriculum. Maybe we need 10 years, 20 years, but we just don't have the time. We also don't have enough people to do the work. Okay? But we were able to rise up to the challenge, of course, with the hard work of Director Andaya and the whole BCD team.
At having Yusek Gina in the Department of Education, the work becomes lighter. As we continue, Yusek Gina, I'd like to call our guest this afternoon. Can you take your seat, Yusek Gina?
Thank you.
Another guest, ladies and gentlemen, is the Assistant Secretary for Curriculum and Teaching. And she specifically handles curriculum development, learning delivery, and learning resources of the Department of Education. Her work for the department centers on the development and implementation of national education policies under the curriculum and teaching strand. She supervises the programs, projects, and activities relative to development of the curriculum, the delivery of learning, and the provision of quality learning resources nationwide. Prior to her role as an assistant secretary, she was a school guidance counselor, an education supervisor, and a regional director. Nawala tuloy yung kaba. And she was also commissioned as a reserve officer with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel of the Philippine Air Force while fulfilling her duties to the Department of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Assistant Secretary Alma Ruby C. Torrio. Si Alma, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, R.D. Ramir. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
So you're not exempted, no, with my question. Paano ba ang isang ano yung feeling pag ikaw yung assistant secretary? Because you were once you belonged to the regional directors group, but now you are an assistant secretary. How does it feel, Asik Alma?
You know, sometimes I feel at a loss. When I was a teacher, then superintendent and director, every time I fill up my PDS and other documents asking for my profession, I always indicate I am a teacher. So ngayon, as ASEC na ako, hindi ko na alam kung teacher pa rin ba ako. But of course, I will always be a teacher.
Yeah, because they say if you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. And for your prize, you can now sit down, Asek Alma. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a big round of applause. Ang unang pag-uusapan natin ngayon, and like si Yosek Gina, once connected with the Philippine Normal University, and of course, dumaan din si Asek Alma sa pagiging teacher. Ang tanong ko ay, how did you see DepEd? You know, before joining DepEd, when you were yet at Philippine Normal University, Yosek Jean, ano yung tingin mo sa DepEd? How did you see DepEd during that time?
Hello, ayaw yatang ipasabi yung gusto kong sabihin. Sasabi ba ako ng totoo sa tanong na to or sasagot ako ng maayos?
Maayos at totoo, siyempre.
Now, I'm still connected with the Philippine Normal University. I'm seconded from PNU to the Department of Education. So, kung perspective ng PNU and as a member of the faculty, I see DepEd as a partner agency. Okay? Because it is the mandate of PNU to help DepEd, especially in terms of improving education quality through teachers. If you ask about my personal opinion, I've always thought of DepEd as a huge organization where there are so many holes and you could get buried in one of those holes. Okay? In other words, some people call it a snake pit.
I was, in many instances, Yosek Gina, you were our speaker on research because you were until now, you have been you're still part of the research Center for Teacher Quality, RCTQ. And so, you consider yourself as a partner of the Department of Education. How about Asek Alma?
I must say, I practically grew up with DepEd and grew in DepEd. My parents were both public servants of DepEd, kaya bata pa lang ako, nakikita ko na kung papaano gumalaw ang DepEd. All throughout my life, I am with DepEd. I started as a secondary school teacher, hanggang ngayon nasa DepEd ako. So when I had not joined DepEd, nung bata pa ako, I have to be honest sabi ko, bakit yung mga parents ko palaging wala? Kasi alam nyo na yung trabaho sa DepEd, especially if you are a school official or school leader, 7/24 yung trabaho. And then if you get promoted, you will be promoted outside the place where you stay in. So, ang realization ko, nung una ayaw ko talaga ng DepEd kasi yung nakita ko sa mga parents ko. But then, siguro dahil na rin malaking utang na loob ko sa DepEd kasi wala ako rito kung hindi naging public servants ang parents ko sa DepEd. So parang yon, out of gratitude and because of my passion, I happen to be the youngest and the only girl in the family. So bata pa ako, gusto ko na yung parang teacher. So I joined DepEd. So yung realization ko sa DepEd, alam ko makaka-relate lahat ng mga nandito. It's more of a vocation. It's more of service. Kasi kahit na wala ka na sa office, nandyan pa rin. Yung mga constituents mo, yung mga kasama mo sa DepEd, ay kailangan pa rin yung serbisyo mo.
I know that the children and the significant others of the participants today are also thinking the same way na palaging wala, especially the superintendents and attendants, mga regional directors, assistant regional directors na their children always say, ano ka ba mama, palagi ka lang wala. But patuloy nating ginagawa, di ba? And even if nasabi yan before, but still you insist not to be in DepEd. So, ang saya pa rin sa DepEd kahit palaging wala, no? You also hear that from your family members, Yusek Gina?
Yes.
Now that you are in DepEd.
Actually, yung stress ng work ko in the past, my work in the past was also stressful. Maybe not as stressful as the job in DepEd because, well, you take care of, parang pag may ginawa kang mali, ang maapektuhan dito, yung mga bata. Na? So, kailangan lahat ng bagay pinag-iisipang mabuti. So talagang, there are times na there are sleepless nights, there are things that keep me awake at night because I want to make sure that I do the right thing.
Ganda yun, no? Na, ano yun, Yusek Gina? Dapat sa lahat ng mga bagay, dapat pag-iisipang mabuti. Diba? RDR, nakinig ka nun?
Actually, para kay RDR talaga yun.
Ay, para kay RDR yun. Ito, ang next na ano ko, ngayon na andito ka na, Yusek Gina, sa DepEd, na even if we are thinking that there are many challenges that we have been feeling right now in the Department of Education. Kasi sa mga mancom natin, palaging serious tayo, ganyan. But ang tanong ko is, what inspires you? Ano na kapag, what really motivates you to continue working in DepEd as of this time?
Well, my first inspiration is the Vice President. When she asked me to do the job, it's because she thinks I can do something for DepEd. And I think that she is in a very special position to do something for DepEd that not other previous secretaries could not do before. I actually told her with her political power, there's so much change that she could do. Okay? And that one alone inspired me to be in DepEd because with her, we have so much power to do some changes in the Department of Education.
Yeah, because we are aware that in all the things that we do, we always need a hand over ours. If there is a leader who inspires us always, who keeps on motivating us, iba yung feeling, ipagpatuloy mo talaga kahit nahirapan ka. No? How about Asek Alma? What inspires you this time?
When I started as a teacher, I wanted to remain as a teacher. Pero siguro, sinerte ako, I got promoted. But it does not mean that when I was promoted as a superintendent and the other positions na pinagdaanan ko, it does not mean that I know everything. So, yung nakaka-inspire sa akin kasi ang daming nandyan, yun yung masaya sa DepEd. Kasi very rich tayo sa resources, especially yung mga kasamahan natin sa trabaho. In fact, I have to recognize yung mga nakasama ko noon nung nasa field pa ako. Nandito yung sila, yung mga taga-Region 1, taga-Region 2,
Kaway-kaway mga taga-Region 1,
lahat ng mga
Region 2.
pinagdaanan ko. And then when I was considered to occupy the position where I am in now, sabi ko, ASEC for curriculum, hindi naman ako master ng curriculum instruction. But I was so inspired kasi lahat ng mga immediate principal ko, like Yusek Lorna, I started with Yusek Lorna, Yusek Dads, short lang si Yusek Joer, and now si Yusek Gina. nakaka-inspire sila. And of course, all the bureau directors of city, nakaka-inspire sila na makatrabaho. And of course, ultimately, our Vice President. So as you may know, this is now my second term as ASEC for City, and I'm very grateful that VP considered me again in this position. Pero siguro bukas, kung wala na ako sa city, ibig sabihin mali yung sinagot ko ngayon.
Totoo talaga yan. Sige.
RD, no, para lang to set it straight, there are many things that could inspire us. Okay? So sinabi ko kanina, VP inspires me. But you see, our teachers, our hard-working teachers, our learners inspire us also. Kasi at the end of the day, the job that we do is for them.
Totoo talaga yan, Yusek Gina. An inspired heart is always grateful. While our participants are listening to us right now, they're also thinking of the people around who have been inspiring them. Right, participants? Oh, yung iba niya, napaluha na, umiiyak na yung iba. And then, with that inspiration, Asek Alma, ano ngayon ang priority sa curriculum and teaching? What are your priorities this time? Right now, the National Learning Camp is still going on, and it's about to punctuate. And then, alam ko na marami pang kasunod na mga gagawin ang city, ang curriculum and teaching strand. What are your priorities this time?
Umpisan ko lang, RD, ha? Kasi yung priority naman namin ni Ma'am pareho eh. Of course, yung priority natin is yung implementation ng matatag curriculum natin. And when we talk about implementation of the curriculum, hindi lamang yung curriculum natin na nandyan na yung mga CGs, but all the support systems for the implementation of the curriculum. So, andyan yung learning delivery natin, yung provision of learning resources natin, yung assessment, and all the programs that support our curriculum.
Yusek Jin, can you...
Yes, sinabi naman na ni Asek Alma, priority namin, implementation ng curriculum. So we're piloting the curriculum this year before we implement it next school year. Why are we piloting? So that we learn issues, challenges, and we can address them before we implement the curriculum in 2024. Priority rin natin ang Learning Recovery Program. Yung learning camp is just one of those, but you see, we cannot end with just the learning camp. Yung lahat ng gains natin sa National Learning Camp have to be continued, have to be sustained during regular school year. So, maglalabas tayo ng reading program, ng math program, at saka ng science program para patuloy na matulungan natin ang mga bata, lalo na yung mga higit na nangangailangan.
But the way I look at you, both of you, hindi man kayo pagod sa curriculum and teaching strand. Palakpakan natin si Yusek Gina at si Asek Alma. And based sa mga research natin, Yusek Gina, sinasabi na the best curriculum adapts to an evolving world. There's a reason why mayroon tayong tinatawag na revision of the curriculum. So when you took lead in revising the K-12 curriculum, ano yung mga challenges niyo?
Okay, I think nasabi ko to kanina, main challenge is time. We don't have all the time in the world to do everything that we want. Pangalawa, tao, we don't have as many people that we want to work on the curriculum, but we were able to survive all of these challenges. That's why we were able to launch the Matatag curriculum very recently.
How about Asek?
Yeah, rejoinder lang, RD, no? Kasi when you say take the lead in the revision of the curriculum, of course, I would like to recognize that the review of the curriculum started during the previous administration, led by Secretary Liling and Yusek Dads, and of course, palaging nandyan si Direct Joyce and lahat ng city. And so there was a review of the curriculum, Kasi napapanahon na, and then there was a provision of the law in RA 10533 na kailangan na ma-review talaga yung curriculum. And so we had engaged a partner to review the curriculum. So we reviewed yung intended, implemented, and all the other tested curriculum. And so with all those findings, kailangan ma-address sila. So one of my apprehensions then was how to address all the findings. So sabi ko, kaya ba? More so that nagkaroon tayo ng pandemic, but of course I can still recall yung mga virtual meetings natin. We started with coming up with the draft of the shaping paper, and yun na, revision. So, yung challenge talaga is, yung mga, of course, let me also mention na yung existing curriculum natin, lahat naman tayo, yung mga anak natin dumaan dyan, we're not saying na that's an imperfect curriculum. Kaya lang, meron talaga, based dun sa review ng BCD with ACRC, merong kailangan talagang i-address. So yung big question mark nga nun is, kaya bang i-address nito considering na may pandemic, plus ang dami pang mga pinagkakaabalahan ng city? But how were we able to overcome it? Of course, again, I would like to acknowledge, recognize yung mga USEC ng city.
I'm very curious, Asek Alma, kasi sa lahat ng mga challenges na ito na encounter niyo, ano yung pinakamahirap? Because some of our participants here are principals, mga chiefs sa curriculum, ganyan. So, I want them to know na at the central office level, ano yung mga pinaka-challenging nyo and how did you overcome them?
This is just, thank you RD, personal impression ko lang, no? Kasi before we launch the MATATAG Agenda, all set na yung curriculum natin. But of course, we need the MATATAG Agenda because we have to address yung pressing concerns ng department. So, kailangang
What are your marching orders? For mentioned was the curriculum. Okay? And when I entered DepEd, the curriculum was supposed to be launched in November of 2022. No, November or October of 2022. I asked VP to give me more time. I said, VP, I need more time. I need to look into the curriculum, I need to look into the process, and I think we need to involve more people, especially the public, so that we really can have what we call the Philippine curriculum. It's a curriculum that is a product of beliefs, ideas, right? Best practices of experts, of Filipinos, of other sectors of society. And she gave me that time. Kaya nga sinabi niya, di ba, lagi siyang nagtatanong sa akin, kumusta ang curriculum? Yung tinuturo ba natin sa Pilipinas, especially sa math, science, and English, ganun din ang tuturo sa ibang bansa, sa Singapore, sa Australia. And I can say yes, because we looked into that. We made sure that our curriculum is comparable with other countries' curriculum. So we are proud of the curriculum that we're able to launch.
I could just imagine your sleepless nights, Yusek Gina, Asek Alma. And I think even if this revision of the curriculum has offered you a lot of maybe disturbances, or you've been bothered a lot of times, but if you're always thinking of the learners, you are always motivated. So, how do you see a Filipino learner after that revision of the K-12 curriculum?
It will take many years before we see the impact of the curriculum. But our vision, of course, is a matatag learner coming from a matatag curriculum. Okay? We want learners that are ready for employment. We want learners that are critical thinkers. We want learners that are responsible citizens of the world. And of course, you know the slogan, we want learners who are makabansa. Okay? That is one of the very special features of the new curriculum. It will take some time. I think this is one thing that other stakeholders should understand. When you go to DPWH, for example, the construction of road, you can take a photo and see there's proof of the work done. In education, the impact doesn't happen immediately. It takes consistent, sustained efforts to make sure that the reform works. So ibig sabihin, pag ginawa natin ang curriculum ngayong taon, dapat pagdating ng implementation, maayos ang implementation, na-implement ng maayos sa field, at yan ay dapat dire-diretso. In 20 years' time, 15, 20 years' time, we hope to see the learners that we want to see among our children.
How about ASEC Alma?
With the MATATAG curriculum, we want to see learners who will be the next USEC of city, the next RDs of our regional offices, the next SDSS of our schools division offices. And hindi lang pang-local, pang-global pa. Sabi nga ni VP, with the MATATAG curriculum, we want our learners to take on the world.
With all those dreams, Yusek Gina and ASEC Alma, side by side with the MATATAG agenda, you can see that the curriculum is not alone there. You still have to look into learners' well-being, the infrastructure, the school facilities, services, and the human resource. How do you navigate at the central office? How do you engage other strands at the central office so that all these dreams will be a reality?
That's a very good question, RD Ram. That question recognizes that we really cannot make the change that we want to make, if it's just the curriculum. There's the teacher part, and you know that based on research, it is the teacher that make the most impact in terms of learning outcomes. You may have the best curriculum, but you don't have good quality teachers, you will still fail. So you need teachers that can deliver the curriculum. And you need teachers to be supported by resources, by infrastructure, by school leaders that are motivating so that they can deliver the curriculum. I think all strands in central office understand this. Okay? So when they understand this, they become more helpful. At ang alam ko, lahat ng strands sa DepEd, ang commitment ay para sa guro at para sa bata. Okay? So para magtagumpay ang administrasyon na to, para sa mga teachers at para sa mga bata, kailangan naming magtulungan.
This is not a journey of one person only. Even we, the regional directors, would always think that this involves collaborative efforts. Like they would say, there is this curriculum, the revised curriculum, but we lack chairs, we lack computers, we lack all these gadgets. So we need people, we need our partners, we need our stakeholders for this dream to happen. ASEC Alma, please.
Yes, RD. If we revisit yung quality policy manual natin, ang nandoon sa gitna, curriculum and teaching. Because DepEd believes that the heart and soul of DepEd is the curriculum and teaching strand. Nonetheless, doon sa framework na yon, nasa baba lahat ng support system. So nandiyan lahat yung mga strands, andyan lahat yung mga services. And following that, andyan pala yung mga, we have to acknowledge nandyan yung mga kasama, partner ng mga cities, yan, yung mga bureau directors natin. And because of that framework, making city as the core business of DepEd, we had this city talks. So doon sa city talks, sinasabi ng ng city kung ano yung mga kailangan nila. Because as what Yusek Gina had mentioned, we cannot implement yung mga city programs natin, curriculum and teaching talks. So ito yung sinasabi ng city, ito yung kailangan ng curriculum. Let's say for example,
So this is where you engage other strands.
in other strands. So let's say for example, in the implementation, nandiyan si Direct Joyce, nag-launch na tayo ng matatag curriculum. Pero as mentioned by Direct Joyce during the launching, it will remain as a paper, yung curriculum natin, kung hindi natin ma-implement. So kailangan natin kayong lahat sa operations strands, sa finance, sa lahat ng mga strands para ma-implement lahat ng mga programs ng DepEd, ng city. But yung very overwhelming is the recognition of all these strands na lahat ng ginagawa nila ay yung sinasabi ng city.
Siguro, concrete example, RD Ram, nung inumpisahan namin ang National Learning Camp, ang hiningi namin sa HROD, pag-aralan ng overload, ang payment ng overload sa teachers. So inaaral naman nila ngayon, may nabigay namang incentives para sa learning camp. So pagdating sa mga upuan sa klase, dumadaan sa amin ang design to make sure na inclusive ang mga designs sa classroom. So ganon nagtutulungan, ganon ang ginagawa ng mga strands para matulungan ang curriculum and teaching.
Because we can always expect a good curriculum if there is collaboration. So even though this is partly answered already, Yusek Gina, Asek Alma, but I just would like to ask, what really makes this new curriculum successful? Paano natin masabi na itong bagong curriculum ay isang successful na curriculum?
We can only say that it is a successful curriculum if teachers in the classrooms are able to teach or implement the curriculum. Kahit gaano kaganda yung curriculum, pag si teacher, pagdating niya sa classroom, ang ginagawa niya ay hindi pa rin yung nasa curriculum, we are going to fail.
Yusek Gina, andito ngayon ang ating mga superintendents, andito ngayon ang ating mga curriculum chiefs. Could you give them bits of advice? Because sabi mo, dapat ang teacher andon. So the superintendents, can I see the hands of all the schools division superintendents?
Parang konti.
Parang wala nang nag-iisa ng
Naku,
kamay.
walang pupunta
Can I
sa-
request all the schools division superintendents to stand? Yan. Andito sila, Yusek Gina. Can I also request all the regional chiefs sa curriculum to stand? Sige, let's listen to Yusek Gina. My bits of advice.
Hindi ako magaling magbigay ng advice. Pero, it is important for school leaders to motivate the teachers to do their job. Minsan kasi ang mga teacher, kahit nagaano kahusay, kapag may principal na pumasok na hindi mahusay, ayaw niya nang magturo. Tama po? Pag yung teacher, sasabihin niya, parang mas magaling pa ako sa principal na to. Ako na lang lahat ang gumagawa ng trabaho niya. So we lose bright teachers because we have principals that are not good. We have to accept that. Okay? So we need superintendents that are able to capacitate principals, able to capacitate supervisors, and superintendents that are able to monitor how things are happening on the ground. Hindi kasi pwede na pag may nilabas tayong policy, ang iisipin natin, pag binigay natin yan sa field, ganun na ang mangyayari. Our teachers need assistance. So you need to give them assistance. We give you the curriculum. We will train you, school heads, supervisors, I think superintendents also on the new curriculum. And our expectation is that you're going to make sure that the curriculum is implemented, okay, the way we want it to be implemented. So kayo lang po ang may kayang gawin noon. Hindi ko kaya as USEC, hindi kaya ni ASEC Alma, hindi namin kaya sa curriculum and teaching strand, kahit na ang buong central office, kahit na ang mga regional directors, to ensure that the curriculum is implemented well in the classroom. Because at the end of the day, a teacher can just close her door and thus teach the way she teaches in the past 30 years. Kahit bago ang curriculum, pag ayaw ni teacher, wala tayong magagawa. So please, superintendents, school heads, supervisors, you need to make sure, help us make sure that teachers understand the curriculum and that teachers implement the curriculum. And for them to do that, you need to make sure that they focus on teaching, they focus on jobs that really they need to do in the classroom. And please, inspire them, okay? I do not know how to inspire, pero kayo sa field, I'm sure kayang-kaya ninyong mag-inspire. Salamat po.
I like that line. Please inspire. So a frowning face can never inspire. So regional directors, don't wear your frowning faces when you visit the divisions. This is what I always emphasize, Yusek Gina, that we need to strengthen our connections, that the central office exists because of the regional offices. The regional offices exist because of the division offices. The division offices exist because there are schools. The principals exist because there are teachers. The teachers exist because there are learners. If these people could no longer feel our existence, we might as well leave our positions. So there's really a need for us to inspire all the time. Now, wear our smiles. Ano masabi mo niyan, Asek Alma?
Yes, RD. We are very optimistic for the success of this curriculum. For one, hindi lang ito curriculum na ginawa ng city. Hindi lamang ito curriculum ng DepEd, but we say this is the Matatag curriculum. So we want everyone to own yung stewardship natin sa curriculum. And when we assume stewardship, we believe nothing will fail. Kasi hindi po natin pababayaan na yung curriculum na ginawa natin, na inari ninyo ay hindi maka-deliver or makapagbuo ng because we say curriculum, we have this curriculum to provide knowledge and skills as well as attributes to our learners. Tayong lahat ang gumawa nun eh. So hindi natin papayagan that we will fail. So that's one, the ownership of the curriculum. And the other is, just to supplement what Yusek Gina had said, the very reason why we are here, yung learners. Dahil kung hindi natin mahal yung mga bata, kagaya ko, nakita ko kung ano yung mga unpleasant experience ko in DepEd, pero I'm still here because of the learners. Yung curriculum na ginawa natin, nilatag na natin kung ano yung gusto natin na mangyari sa mga learners. Dahil we always say na itong mga batang ito ang papalit sa atin. Itong mga batang ito ang siyang mag-uplift ng ah, yung status ng bansa natin. So yun na lang. So there will be a long journey in the implementation of the pilot implementation of the MATATAG curriculum, followed by the phase-in implementation. Pero as we convene here, at alam ko naman na maraming sakripisyo ang meron kayo bago kayo pumunta rito, huwag nyo sanang kalimutan yung bilin ni Yusek. At again, to supplement, huwag nyo sanang, please don't allow it na lahat na ng mga struggles na nagawa natin for the Matatag curriculum ay hindi mangyayari kasi yung isa ay hindi ginawa ang kanyang responsibilidad.
Absolutely inspiring, Asek Alma, Yusek Gina. And kasi na-mention ni Asek Alma kanina, bansa. After all these things have been said, after all those mga sleepless nights, trying moments, struggling moments, lahat, Yusek Gina, what are your hopes for the country, having in mind of the new curriculum that DepEd implements? Ano yung mga hopes niyo para sa bansang ito?
Well, big hopes for the country. We hope that our learners become competitive. We hope that our learners who will become citizens of this country, will become responsible citizens of this country, can put honor to the country, bring honor to the country, help the country with its economy, progress. Hindi tayo pwedeng maiwan ng mundo. Sabi ko nga, sa alimbawa sa Finland, knowledge economy Ang binibenta nila, yung alam nila. Di ba? They think, they create, they create knowledge. Kailan kaya tayo dadating doon? So kailangan natin ng mga bata na mahusay na sa 21st century skills. Para ang bansa naman natin, pagdating ng panahon, kaya na rin mag-compete sa ibang bansa. Pero syempre, at the end of the day, ang gusto natin, yung mga bata na may magandang buhay pagdating ng araw. Na sana mas equal ang opportunities katulad ng sa ibang bansa. Hindi pwedeng yung may mga bata sa atin, sobrang hirap, walang makain, walang gamit. Sa ibang bansa, almost equal ang kanilang opportunities. Kung may computer ang isa, lahat sila may computers. Sana dumating tayo doon sa pagkakataon na yon na lahat ng batang makikita natin, pag pumasok sa classroom, nakakain ng maayos. May textbook, di ba, Director Aris? Ang lahat ng teachers, may manual. Diba? Ang lahat ng bata, may gamit. Kapag nagawa natin yan, it's going to be a country that we will be very proud of and will be very happy to live in.
Thank you, Yusek Gina. Asek Alma, please.
We want to see a Filipino who is proud of being a Filipino wherever he or she is. So kahit saan siya, dapat ipagmalaki niya na Filipino siya. And for this to happen, yun nga, we have to equip them with the foundational skills, with the 21st century skills, at hindi lang yung sa mga academic skills, but yung mga proper attributes, yung mga values. So, yun.
So ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very blissful and very rewarding afternoon for all of us. We have
Wala
heard...
ka nang itatanong, RD Ram?
Ha?
Wala ka nang itatanong? May 10 minutes
Kasi
ka
may na, 1 minute more daw.
No, I'm just kidding. RD, before you end, kasi I wasn't able to thank the regional directors. Please know that you're very special. And really, we need your help. So kapag very tight ang timelines, ang dami naming kailangan, salamat ng marami sa inyong suporta, lalo na sa curriculum and teaching. strand. Thank you na rin sa lahat ng superintendents and supervisors. I trust that you're going to do your best for us not to fail in the implementation of the curriculum, because when we fail, our learners will fail. Failure is not an option. Salamat po ng marami.
I have emphasized the word rewarding, Yusek Gina, because we have come from different places, faraway places, and we have come to be part of this NAEL, and just to hear you inspire all of us, no, from ASEC Alma. So parang nawala yung pagod dahil sa travel. So again, this has been a very blissful afternoon, hearing, no, knowing, no, the love, pagmamahal, pagsisikap, pag-aaruga ng dalawang guests natin this afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to Undersecretary Gina O. Gunong, Assistant Secretary Alma Ruby Torrio. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been R.D. Ramir of Region 6. Thank you for making us part of your Monday afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Nael, for having us. And maraming salamat at nagkita-kita ulit tayo. 2 or 3 years yata na hindi tayo nag-Nael. So, ma'am, alam po ninyo, ito yung isang event ng DepEd na pinangungunahan ng ating mga RDs na pinagkakaabangan ng ating mga colleagues from the various levels of governance. When I was an RD, talagang hinihintay ko rin yung NAEL. And of course, we would like also to thank all the RDs for allowing your colleagues from the SDOs, from the districts at saka schools to attend the NAEL.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them again a big round of applause. Undersecretary Gina Gonong, Assistant Secretary Alma Ruby Torrio. Good afternoon once again.
Thank you, R.D. Ram. What an insightful session with our two ladies, an Undersecretary, of course, Yusek Gina and ASEC Alma. We heard them. They spoke truly and sincerely from their hearts. And again, as a reminder to all of us, the MATATAG Agenda is an enabler of life learning. Lifelong being or learning with purpose, life deep learning for mastery, life-wide learning connected to real-world context. This was our exercise in last week workshop with the Execom, and indeed that summarized the session this afternoon.
Yes,
RD
at this
Tony?
point, may we call on the President of the Association of DepEd Directors, Ma'am Jocelyn Andaya, together with Sir Willie Cabral, to award the Certificate of Recognition.
Certificate of recognition is awarded to ASEC Alma Ruby C. Torrio for sharing her invaluable wisdom by serving as resource speaker during the 4th National Assembly of Education Leaders with the theme Embracing the MATATAG Agenda with Integrity, Competence, and Diligence. Giving this 22nd day of August 2023 at the SMX Convention Center, Pasay City, Philippines, signed the President of Association of DepEd Directors, Dr. Jocelyn Andaya.
The same certificate goes to Undersecretary Gina O. Gonong.
Thank you, Yusek Gina, ASEC Alma. To RD Ram, maraming salamat po.
So once again, our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed panelists for their invaluable insights, which have shed light on the MATATAG Agenda's different facets. provided clarity on the steps being taken towards its implementation, and challenged us to reflect on how we can individually and collectively contribute to this initiative. In the spirit of the MATATAG Agenda, let us remember to strive for relevance in our curriculum, to accelerate our efforts in delivering education, to care for our learners, and to continually support our teachers.
What a session, RD Tony. Don't we need a break? Do we need a break? Of course, I do understand that we all need a break, but we're not letting you get out of the room for that break that you desire, because this afternoon we still have more in store for you. We understand that your brains, our brains need a break from all the learnings we've been doing. So we welcome our guest, a multi-awarded theater performer who played Lapu-Lapu in the musical and will be featured next in the Ramahari, no other than Mr. Arman Ferrer.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. If you know the song, please, I invite you to sing along. You are the song playing so softly in my heart. I reach for you, you seem so near yet so far. I hope and I pray you'll be with me someday. I know down inside you are mine and I'm yours. True love, or am I dreaming? Come on. Each time I try to say goodbye, you were there. You looked my way, I touched the sky. We can share tomorrow and forevermore. I'll be there to love you so. You are my soul. Yan. Isa pa ha? I know for sure that we were meant to fall in love. I look in your eyes, I know what you're thinking of. I try not to say the words that might just scare you away, 'cause I know down inside you are mine and I'm your true love. Please, no more dreaming. Come on! How can I, louder, each time I try to say goodbye, you were there. You look my way, I touch the sky. We can share tomorrow and forevermore. I'll be there to love you so. You are my I know that we can make it through with you and my heart. You're my soul, you're my love, you're my song. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm Arman Ferrer, and I'm a theater actor. And maybe some of you know my mom, Doris Ferrer. She's gonna be here tomorrow naman. She's not gonna sing. She's gonna talk. I'm a theater actor, and I would like to thank the DepEd for supporting theater actors like me, especially during the pandemic, because we did online shows, and I think the DepEd boosted them, especially the one that I did with NCCA, Lapu-Lapu, Andato ng Mactan. So thank you so much. And trivia lang, before I sing my last song, I'm a son of two educators. My mom is an educator. My dad is also an educator. Yes, please give a round of applause. Not to them, but to all of you educators here, because I am very, very, very lucky that I have teachers as my parents. Diba? I think naging ganito ako because of them. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but thank you. Before I go, I would like to leave you a song, and I think tama yung sinabi kanina nila Undersecretary and ASEC that the future is really in education. So in order for the Philippines to grow better, to be a better country, it's not because of the politicians, but because of the children who are getting good education. So thank you so much. And this is for you guys from the musical Man from La Mancha. You know this. Happy Ninoy Aquino Day. This is Impossible Dream. Again, if you know the song. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear the unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for that heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this. That one man scorned and covered with scars still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable, the unreachable, the unreachable I'll always dream the impossible dream. Yes, I unshakable Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Arman. I can imagine your mom clapping with the audience and with Director Art Boyokot here with his An Impossible Dream as well. RD Tony?
Yes, once again, thank you very much, Mr. Ferrer. Now, on to our last plenary session for the day. A thought-provoking session on developing a growth mindset for education leaders. In this period of continuous change and advancement, personal reinvention becomes a necessity. Yet, staying anchored to our values is as crucial. Today, we are fortunate to have among us a person who has walked this path and bring his unique experiences and insights into this delicate balancing act. He embodies the essence of a growth mindset and will guide us as we explore this fascinating journey of reinvention and values-based growth. Let's open our minds, ready our hearts, and dive into this enriching conversation about personal growth and unshakable values. Ladies and gentlemen, let us watch this video. And now, Director Salustiano Jimenez, please help introduce our next plenary speaker.
Director Sal?
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Okay, our second plenary speaker who will talk on developing growth mindset for education leaders is one of the country's top-ranked corporate trainers on leadership and other people skills. Sir Boris is the president and CEO of Breakthrough Leadership Management Consultancy Incorporated. He is also the founder of the Project Purpose Team Incorporated, a corporate educator under the Duke CA Global Education Network in the United Kingdom, a chartered professional in human resources, and a registered investor in people in UK specialists. A management and marketing professional, Boris was involved in various industries, both local and international, for more than 2 decades. A corporate trainer, management consultant, and executive coach. Sir Boris has served organizations in the Philippines, Asia, and the Middle East, providing assessments and consulting services to help organizations improve their people management processes, learning events, and workshops on strategic management and leadership, and executive coaching for executives and managers who want to grow in their organizational leadership and management. Sir Boris has been a contributing writer and columnist on career and leadership for Philippine Daily Inquirer, Philippine Star, Inquirer Libre, and has written regular Rappler.com. He has served as anchor for the career and lifestyle section of Rappler Talk of Rappler.com. Sir Boris has authored two well-received books, Practical Wisdom to be Happy at Work and Project Purpose, Find Your Why to Find Your Way. Sir Boris recently received the 2020 Gawad Sulu Award for his work as a corporate educator. This award is only given to select few who have significantly contributed in the field of education. Ladies and friends, with a thundering applause, let's all welcome our second plenary speaker, Sir Boris Joaquin.
All right. Sir RD, thank you so much for that generous introduction. Good afternoon to all the educators and education directors around. Isang magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Wow! This is 4,000 strong. This is probably the biggest event I've been to after the pandemic. And I'm sure you're so happy that this is happening right now. This is really delightful. Can you look at the person beside you? Can you tell the person beside you, I'm happy to see you? Mukha bang convinced? Parang hindi yata eh. No, I'm sure you're happy to see one another. This is your first day, right? And tomorrow your second day. I was told that if I raise my hand, so I think the instruction is if I raise my right hand like this, you will show my slide. Can you do that? Can you try it right now? All right, so we're showing my slide. But before we begin, I just want to make one confession. One, I'm not really much of a keynote speaker. Just like you, I'm really more like a teacher, an educator. I'm a workshop facilitator. And I want to engage my audience, even though you're 4,000 wide in this three-hallway venue. So before we begin, can you do me a favor? I just want to check how you are doing. Can we do that? Can we have a simple temperature check lang this afternoon? Can I ask you, kamusta ka na? Or how are you? And this is how you respond to me. You will raise your right hand. I'm not making you change my slide, okay? You'll raise your right hand, and then you will answer by giving me a number. So if I ask you, kamusta ka na? How are you doing today? You could either answer in any of the following manner. You could say you're number one, and number one actually means you're super okay. Okay na okay ako, Boris. I'm super okay. That's number one. But if you tell me you're number two, ibig sabihin ng number two, saks lang. Have you ever heard that before? I have two teenage daughters, and whenever I ask them, kamusta ka na, ang sagot nila sa akin, saks lang, Dad. Ibig daw sabihin ng sakto lang. Sakto lang. So you may not be super okay, pero saks lang. So pag may nagtanong sa inyo kung gwapo ba yung second plenary speaker ninyo, ang sagot nyo, saks lang. Hindi super gwapo, pero saks lang. So that's number two. Number three is you're not really okay. And you know what they say? It's okay not to be okay. So you tell me if you're number three, you're telling me you're not okay. So let's try this. In this whole wide three-hallway venue, can you raise your right hand and answer the question, kamusta ka na? Show me your number. Okay, there you go. Or everybody's saying, super okay, I think. But the others are actually saying, saks lang. Very good. Meron bang number three? Can you look around you? Meron bang kailangan ng tulong? I hope not. Your average is probably 1.75 right now. So that's very good. Can you give yourself a round of applause? And if you are a little bit down today, my prayer is that this plenary session will somehow help you uplift your spirit one way or another. All right? If it's not me, maybe yung mga katabi mo ngayon. Can you tell the person beside you, ako ang bahala sa'yo? Lilibre kita mamaya. Parang nag-struggle din sa second line, no? Sagot kita mamaya, pero hindi kita pwede libre. It's okay, it's okay. We're going to talk about developing a growth mindset. And this is a favorite topic of mine. And I just want to give due credit to the sources where my content is coming from. So as introduced by Sir Ardi a while ago, I am part of Breakthrough Leadership Management Consultancy, but I'm also part of organizations like Investors in People. I also carry programs by Ken Blanchard. I don't know if you know him. He is a famous global leadership guru. And some of the things that I'll be sharing with you are some of the things that I've learned from him. And the growth mindset that I've learned from Investors in People, Duke Corporate Education, and even Ken Blanchard himself, because I consider him to be a personal mentor. And just like you, and just like our singer a while ago, si Sir Arman, tama ba, Arman Ferrer, I'm also a I'm a son of two educators. My mother and my father were professors in the university before they retired. So I am so proud to be part of being groomed by two educators in the household. And they were laughing at me when they discovered that I was doing this. I was doing workshop facilitation. I was doing learning interventions because my mom would say, "You're still a teacher. You're an educator, my son. You're also facilitating learning experiences." So I'm a facilitator of experiences and conversations. And the only sad thing that I realized today is that it's a one-way street. I'm only talking to you, but as much as possible, I would like to engage you throughout the day. All right? So let's talk about growth mindset. The thing that I learned about growth mindset is that it's very dynamic. It's not just growth mindset versus fixed mindset. A few days ago, I interviewed this growth mindset evangelist because he's part of my network. His name is Eduardo Briseño. And he taught me a little thing about how we can develop growth mindset personally and organizationally. And sabi ko, grabe, tama yung timing. This happened in Philippine Star last Thursday, and I'm giving this talk Monday, a few days after Thursday. So I was really refreshed about my understanding about growth mindset and how can we develop that kind of thinking moving forward. And I hope it would enrich you and the people that you lead, direct, guide, mentor, and teach. Now, I don't know if you know the definition, but here's a definition of the growth mindset. Basically, what we're saying, growth mindset is developing skills, is developing yourself through the right strategies, through hard work, and through the guidance of other people. The mere fact that I'm talking to all of you right now, you guys are providing not just guidance, but the ability for students, teachers, your direct reports, the people that you are accountable to develop what we call a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is sarado na yung utak mo. A growth mindset means you are open-minded to the possibility. Open-minded. Can you ask the person beside you? Open-minded ka ba? Anong sagot niya? Kung open-minded kayo, magstay kayo mamaya, meron akong ipepresent na network no, just kidding. Nasira yung term na open mindset recently, ano? When you have a growth mindset, you are open-minded. Ibig sabihin, you're willing to look at the possibilities. But one thing that I learned from Eduardo Briseño last Thursday is when you have a growth mindset, you're willing to change. And when you're willing to change, that's when you grow, develop, and progress. That's when you grow, develop, and progress. When you're willing to change. And change is such an insidious word to have because not many of us are willing to change. You get what I'm saying? Now, to demonstrate this, I told you I'm more of a teacher than a speaker. I want you to, kailangan ng audience participation dito, okay? I want you to raise both of your hands like this. Can you do that? Everybody now, raise both of your hands like this. And I want you to put your hands together like this. Clasp your hands together like this. 1, 2, 3, go. One more time. 1, 2, 3, go. Now I want you to observe which thumb is on top of the other. Mine is left over right. Left over right? Right over left. All right. Now remember that in this next round, I want you to interchange it. Kung ano yung nasa ibabaw, ilagay nyo sa ilalim. Kung ano yung nasa ilalim, lagay nyo sa ibabaw. So kung left over right, right over left, and vice versa. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go! Again. 1, 2, 3, go! How was the feeling? It's awkward. It's unnatural. It takes time for me to get used to, right? Because change, my dear friends and fellow educators and leaders, change is never easy. Change is always hard. Change is awkward. It's unnatural. We are creatures of habits. If there's one thing that the pandemic, the global health crisis taught us, is that we need to change. Diba? Hindi naman tayo nagamit ng GCash before or ng mga electronic banking dyan, right? Hindi naman tayo nagamit ng delivery before as much as we do now. The pandemic allowed us to adapt because we wouldn't adapt if not for the crisis. Change is not easy for everyone to embrace. And growth mindset requires us to change. If we're not willing to change, at least with an open-mindedness or the willingness to change and the hard work that we invest on changing, we will never have a growth mindset. Sabi mo nga sa katabi mo ngayon, magbago ka na. If there's one thing that needs to happen today after this keynote talk, is kailangan magbago tayo, right? Everybody can change. If anyone knows that better than anybody, is all of you. Education leaders, educators, people in the academe, people in the field of education. We know that a child can grow, can change. We know a teacher can improve. A colleague can become a leader, even if they are not willing to become a leader. A person who's immature can be responsible if they're willing to do it. So that's what growth mindset is. So the first step in order to develop a growth mindset is we should be willing to change. Second, we should be willing to challenge. We need to challenge ourselves to change. We need to challenge others, our students, our direct reports, our fellow teachers, our colleagues in the organization. We need to challenge them to change. And not only just to change behavioral-wise. We need them to change in all dynamics of their performance, of their thinking and doing, right? The first thing that we need to challenge is what we call constraints. We need to challenge, assume constraints. Now, I'm speaking from a personal and even from other people's perspective. Lahat tayo merong assume constraints. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng constraints? Pinipigilan tayo, right? It's limiting us. Ano ibig sabihin ng assume? Maling akala. Akala natin meron tayong ganitong limitation, hindi naman pala totoo. Assume constraints are the lies that we tell ourselves that we cannot do it. I have been a witness to this nationwide. One of the study that I've written down, one of the research study that I wrote down in One News PH and the Philippine Star is, I don't know if you read this article, but if you haven't, I suggest you research it. There's this research that says 7 out of 10 Filipino children do not have dreams. Hindi daw marunong mangarap 7 out of 10 children. And the reason why 7 out of 10 children are unable to have ambitions and dreams is because there are assumed constraints. They think since they're born in a farming community or they're born among fisher folks, they cannot grow outside of that possibility. Even with social media, if they have dreams and ambitions, exposing them to the other sides of the world, if the support system, if their family members, their friends are putting down their dreams, those are constraints that limits them to pursue anything higher than what's presented in their current situation. Now, let me play a video that describes to you what assumed constraints is, okay? So take a listen to this. Oh, sana po may audio siya. Can we do it again? Now, this video is something that we normally show to young children to demonstrate to them that there is no such thing as limiting beliefs, that anything is possible, that a child is a bundle of possibilities. This is something that we do with Save the Children, with World Vision, or with any other child-focused organization if we want to tell them about dreaming dreams for themselves. So can we do that again? One more time. My friends from the technical booth. All right, let's do it. Still no sound. Okay, tell you what. Play it, and I'll tell you what's happening. Can you play it? Come on, let's just play it. Sige na po, play lang natin. If it won't work, pinagpawisan ako sa video na yun.
To stay put.
There you go. Again.
He's tethered to a stake by a
Can we repeat it again? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
This baby elephant is being trained to stay put. He's tethered to a stake by a heavy chain. Although the baby elephant pulls and tugs, he can't break away. Eventually, he stops trying. Even when he grows into a 5-ton adult and could easily pull the entire stake out of the ground, he doesn't. Because he believes he cannot, he doesn't even try. That is his assumed constraint. An assumed constraint is a belief that limits new experiences.
All right, thank you. Now, let's look at this next slide. Now, this is the definition of assumed constraint according to that video. Assumed constraints limits us, keeps us from having new experiences. This could be as a result of a negative experience, a trauma, or somebody said to you, you can't do it. Just like the baby elephant a while ago. The elephant can break from the chain. But because he was trained that he cannot break from the chain, hindi na nagbago yung mindset niya about it. He was willing to stay there, chained, limited, constrained, because he cannot change anymore. That's what an assumed constraint is. Now, I want you to think with me, personal, if this is a reflection time for all of you, as leaders, as directors, as principals, as educators, what is your assumed constraint? Think to yourself, what is my limiting belief? What is that one thing that I never get to do because I think, or I've always thought to myself, I could never do it? Think about it. Maybe this is your liberation day. Maybe this is the time that you are set free from that assumed constraint. You don't need to think otherwise. Do you think you cannot travel the world? Do you think you cannot pursue higher education? Do you think you're stuck to where you are right now? Do you think that you're not born to be a leader? Nobody's born to be a leader. Everybody with a growth mindset can become a leader. So think about it. What is your assumed constraint? Because sometimes our assumed constraints is not given to us by other people. We did this to ourselves. Now let me give you an example. Okay? You're probably familiar with this. Are you familiar with this? I took this when I was in elementary. It's one of those games, you connect the 9 dots without lifting your pen from the paper. Have you done this before? I have done this when I was in elementary. I maybe grade 4, and I was hitting my head for not figuring it out. So you draw 4 lines connecting all the dots without lifting the pen from the paper. And normally when you do this, you need 5 lines, right? If you don't lift your pen from the paper, yun yung dilemma natin. But the thing is, here's the answer. You have to draw the line outside the box. Nobody told you you were supposed to draw the lines within the box because there is no box. But when you saw the 9 dots, your thinking is, I have to draw the lines within the 9 box. But the thing is, there is no box. The instruction didn't even, wala naman sinabing yung instruction na limit yourself within the box. Sabi lang, connect the 9 dots. So you either go this way or this way. Basta lumabas siya. Basta lumabas siya sa box. In innovation thinking, we were told, when we need to be innovative with our thinking, we were told we need to think outside the box. Right? That's yun yung sinasabi, di ba? In order to be innovative or to brainstorm effectively, you think outside the box. Sa growth mindset, this is how we think. In growth mindset, we remove the box. There is no box. Because once you limit yourself in the box, that's an assumed constraint. That's a limiting belief. And once you create that for yourself, it's like a trap. Thinking you could never do it. Thinking you could never be the best version of yourself. Thinking that you will never be promoted. Thinking that you will never get this opportunity to travel. Thinking that you're not going to explore or expand your career or try a business. There is no box. Growth mindset requires us to remove the box. So we are not limited by it. So I want you to think about that. We don't only change, but we also challenge ourselves and other people, especially about our assumed constraints. Now, another thing that we need to challenge ourselves and other people with is how do we grow from one level to another? And you educators are familiar with this. It's called the spectrum of learning to doing, right? The spectrum from learning to doing. So para siyang railroad track or parang MRT station. You go from one station to another. So from learning, you move, you ride the train, and you reach to the level where you're actually doing it. But you begin with learning, right? You begin with learning. So the thing about the growth mindset, we need to understand first that there's the learning zone and there's the performing zone. And before you get to the doing or performing zone, you need to nurture the learning zone first, right? One of the things that Ken Blanchard taught us is that you need to ask yourself, are you learning or are you doing on a particular task? And then self-mastery happens within that. And there's 2 variables that you need to consider in learning and doing. Number 1 is what Ken Blanchard calls competence, and then the other one is commitment. competence and commitment. So if you want to grow, if you want to develop, two things yung kailangan mo i-consider on a particular task. Your competence and commitment. Now, let me simplify it. Let me use simple words as presented in the slide. Number one, instead of competence, let's call it ability. What's your ability on a certain task? When we say ability, it's your knowledge and skills. When we say ability or competence, we refer to your know-how and your how-to. All right? Now, the other side of the spectrum is what we call commitment. Now, commitment, simple word, willingness. Are you willing? And when we refer to willingness, we mean commitment, dedication, confidence. But commitment, willingness also means want to, being able to want to. So yung ability is the know-how and the how-to, willingness is the want to. So if you have a growth mindset, ito po yung sinusukat natin. And even as we go to our kids, the students, we need to see first, are they able? And then second, are they willing? Because sometimes they're able, but they're not willing. Nakita na ba kayo ng ganung tao on a particular task? Sometimes you're able, but you're not willing. But there are people who are willing, but they're not able. Let me give some example there. I was impressed with Armand Ferrer's singing a while ago. And I want to sing. If I am going to have a growth mindset, kahit na alam ko sintonado ako, I know that I can develop the singing skill if I want to. But I know it's going to be hard. It's going to take hard work. I may be excited, but the ability is not yet there. So I have the willingness, but I don't have the ability. So I need someone to train me with the ability in order to develop the knowledge and skills that I need for singing, right? Now, there are some people, Arman could be actually good in singing already. He's already doing it. But sometimes he may not be in the mood for singing. So he may be able, but he is not willing. I don't want to sing. I want to sing to the event at SMX today because my parents will be proud of me and all the educators will be there. Very good. He's willing. But he may not be willing to sing to a wedding. For example, my wedding anniversary because he doesn't know me. So the willingness is not there, but the ability is there. Ability or competence is always growing. It's always filled up by your knowledge and your skills. When it comes to commitment and willingness, this is the variable. Minsan mataas, minsan mababa. All right? Now, look at this slide. This slide actually summarizes what we call maturity levels. So M stands for maturity. So M1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 and 4. These are the levels that divides learning from doing. So M1 and M2 are the learning, M3 and M4 are the doing. So it measures, it combines competence and commitment, right? So M1, pareho silang 0. Mababa yung commitment, mababa rin yung competence. Hindi siya able, but at the same time, hindi rin siya willing. I'm not willing to sing. And I'm also not able to sing, right? Parang ganon. So okay lang yon because I have 0 competence and I have 0 commitment. But kanina, since I saw Arman sing, na-excite ako about singing. Lalo na when he belted the impossible dream. I felt like inspired and enthusiastic. I think I could sing as well. I am willing, but the ability is not yet there. That's M2. And over time, if you fill me up, maybe if I enroll in a music school, maybe if I have a music or singing coach, from M2 I could be M3. My competence will increase. But there are times that I will get disappointed because I am not as good as Armand Ferrer a while ago. And I will probably not be able to belt the impossible dream the way he would. So I am an M3 at that point. So sometimes I'm jaded, sometimes I'm excited, but my competence is being trained. And if someone is willing to guide me along the way, like a music or vocal coach. From M3, I could be an M4, high on competence and high on commitment. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. My parents taught me this. Sabi ng parents ko, my mom teaches architecture, my father teaches automotive engineering. Sabi nila, anak, in education, there are two approaches daw. Two approaches. You treat a student like an empty cup. An empty cup. So the two approaches in education is barrel filling or barrel emptying. Barrel filling or barrel emptying. Kasi pag wala pang laman, M1. Nasa learning zone siya and there's no knowledge and skill. Our growth mindset tells us we need to fill it up. Follow me? And then eventually, when the person is getting filled up, you need to coach them, you need to encourage them, you need to support them, and that's what we call barrel emptying approach. The person has already something inside it, and you just need to draw it out from the person. From barrel filling, we do barrel emptying. And my parents, as educators in the University of the Philippines, they know for a fact that doing such approaches is effective. And that's a growth mindset. When you're able to fill somebody else's cup and draw it out from them later on, you are developing the growth mindset in another person. You're enabling them to change. Because if you move from M1 to M4, you can change. But if you have assumed constraints, something keeps you from moving from one maturity level to another. And normally, even if you're almost there, M3 ka na, your assumed constraints limits you from becoming an M4. And we want to challenge that. Now, here's another thing. You could also apply this to yourself, not just to your students or to your direct reports. I want you to have a self-diagnostic approach about this or a self-assessment about this to yourself. Is there any particular task that you feel that you are not maturing at all? In your leadership, in your school, in your mastery of a particular subject? Are you an M1? Are you an M2? Are you struggling as an M3? Malapit ka na maging master teacher but you can't move on to that. What's your limiting belief? What's your assumed constraint that's keeping you from moving from one maturity level to another? One thing that I need you to remember, the maturity level is not applied to one person universally. The maturity level is applied per task, different tasks. So kunwari, I may not be good in singing, I'm an M1 in singing, but I am not an M1 in public speaking. I'm probably an M3 in public speaking, right? So I may be, when it comes to facilitation, I may be an M4. So 3 different tasks, different maturity levels. So this is per task. Now let's try this. Let me ask you the question again. Are you learning or are you doing? All right? So there are 4 maturity levels. So tell me if you're 1, 2, 3, or 4. You remember the 4 maturity levels, right? I'm going to show some tasks on the screen. You tell me whether you are M1, M2, M3, or M4. You follow? Sige. Number 1 task. Changing a flat tire. Raise your hand. Are you M1, M2, M3, or M4? Okay, wow. Now look around you. Yung mga nagsabi na M4 sila, pag nasiraan yung sakyan nyo, lapitan nyo yun. He can help you change a tire. Very nice. So let's try another task. Cooking dinner for 6. What's your M level? Show me. 1, 2, 3. Wow, serve. M4. M4. M4 then. So you know where to go for dinner or lunch when you want to have fellowship together. Let's try another task. Let's see this. Can you download an app and know how to use it and teach it to others? Can I see a hands? M1, 2, 3. Wow! Digital age, digital generation. Galing. All right, one last final task. Show me your maturity level. M0! M0 daw, M0. Wala nga akong TikTok account eh. But you know what? It's actually a good channel for education. I must admit. I learn so much from TikTok. The other things, never mind. But you know, it might be useful for you if you think about it. So you get the drift, right? We are not good in everything, but we can improve on it. That's what a growth mindset is. And typically, a growth mindset requires us to change. But if we're not willing to change, we will not be able to grow into it. Like doing a TikTok dance. But in order to have a growth mindset and to allow others to grow in the process, we must first change with our mindset, and we need to challenge ourselves and challenge others, beginning with their assumed constraints. And we challenge people, we challenge ourselves, we challenge others from moving from one maturity level to another. And that's how you develop a growth mindset. But here's one final advice. In order to do so, it requires a lot of discernment. It requires a lot of empathy. Having a growth mindset requires the person to empathize with other people. And you want other people to empathize with you as well. As education leaders, as educators who are nurturing tomorrow's generation, empathy is a powerful tool. Growth mindset is a powerful tool. How do we define empathy? What's our normal definition of empathy? We put ourselves in another person's shoes, right? That's the popular definition. So empathy is not sympathy, hindi ka naawa. Empathy is putting yourself in their perspective, understanding what their assumed constraints are, understanding kung anong maturity level sila, so that you can apply the right teaching approach, whether barrel filling or barrel emptying. Whether in leadership, do I coach, do I mentor, do I give instructions, or do I delegate kasi M4 level na siya? Empathy is probably the initial ingredient for us to have a growth mindset. Gusto mo bang malaman? Gusto mo bang malaman kung meron kang empathy? Do you want to know if you have empathy? Do you want to test it right now? Because we can test if you have empathy. Would you like that? Oh, so I want you to look at the person beside you. Choose a partner. Look to the person beside you. Titigan mo siya. Eyeball to eyeball. Come on. Look at that person. Intentionally, with empathy. Look at that person with empathy, okay? Don't look at me. Look at the person. Look at that person. Okay? Don't leave that person's sight. You are focusing, you're empathizing. Stay there, stay there. Now, while you're looking at that person, raise your right hand. Raise your right hand, come on. Raise your right hand, but don't stop looking at the person, okay? Raise your right hand. Put your finger, yung hintuturo ninyo, put your finger on your forehead. Can you do that? Keep looking at the person. Keep looking at the person. All right. I want you to write letter E for your person to read. Go. Can you write letter E for the other person to read? Go. Okay. So how did you write letter E? Now look at me. You're supposed to write it this way. Whether it's big E or small e, it doesn't matter. But if you wrote it this way, you're writing it for yourself. The instruction is you write letter E the way the other person would read it. So you have to write it this way. That's what empathy is. That's what empathy means. We don't write letter E the way we would read it. We write letter E the way they would read it. You want to have growth mindset? Empathize first. You empathize by understanding ano kaya yung assumed constraints nung taong ito. Ano kaya yung limiting belief niya? What's keeping him from growing, changing, progressing? When you want to have growth mindset, you need to have empathy. You empathize. Ano kaya yung maturity level niya? Is he M1, M2? And when you realize that the person is learning and not yet doing, you are barrel filling. And when you realize that the person is already doing, but the willingness is not there, you're barrel emptying. We change our teaching and leadership approach because we can empathize. And when we empathize, we write letter E the way they would read it, not the way we would read it. You just don't put yourself in another person's shoes. First, you have to remove your own shoes. That's the true meaning of empathy. And when you figure that out and you practice it in your day-to-day work and lives, then growth mindset is easier to have and easier to practice. God bless all of you. Thank you for having me in this glorious event.
Thank you, Boris. Indeed, for us to get to develop great growth mindset, we must be willing to change. And thus, empathy is not just one of the many things that we need to look into but live with at the same time. So for now, RD Tony?
And may we also call on stage the president of our Association of Deputy Directors, Director Jocelyn Andaya, together with RD Gilbert Sadsad, to award the plaque of recognition to Mr. Boris Joaquin for sharing his invaluable wisdom by serving as resource speaker during the 4th National Assembly of Education Leaders with the theme, Embracing the MATATAG Agenda with Integrity, Competence, Diligence, given this 22nd day of August 2023 at the SMX Convention, Pasay City, Philippines, signed Jocelyn D.R. Andaya, President, ADD. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Joaquin. Today's session has been a treasure trove of insights about embracing change, fostering a growth mindset, and yet maintaining a steadfast commitment to our core values. As we move forward, let us remember to continually reinvent ourselves, to adapt, to grow, yet always remain anchored in our values. Thank you again for your engagement and contributions to this essential dialogue. Here's to continuous growth and steadfast values in our journey ahead.
At this juncture, we can only say, what else could we ask for? We are really so blessed to have heard more timeless nuggets of wisdom from our respectable invited plenary speakers. Credits to Director Andaya for having thought of inviting these esteemed people with authority and credentials on their respective field of expertise. Salamat, kapatid Director Joyce.
I cannot agree more, partner. At this point, it is but fitting to thank all the people behind this very organized program. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat na nagpagod at nagtrabaho para sa matagumpay na programang ito. And to all of you who have contributed one way or another into the success of this program. Congratulations and thank you all. See you tomorrow for another session that will incite among all of us integrity, competence, and diligence.
Once again, this has been your MC for this afternoon's session, Margarita Consolacion Ballesteros, or Director Marge of EPS.
And
Together
Tony
with
Aquino. And we say to all of you, good
good
afternoon.
afternoon and assalamualaikum. Thank you very much.